Welcome, everyone, through all time and space to an all-new episode of Weebs on the Weekends, a podcast where we break down the anime news highlights of the week and give a retrospective look at anime that premiered 10 years ago. Today's episode will be covering the most anticipated anime of the 2021 summer anime season and give our thoughts on whether to resurrect or rebury the 2011 anime Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan. My name is Jay Johnson. I'm a part-time weeb and full-time English language sensei. And with me, as always, is my co-host Sam Martinez, part-time weeb and full-time automail mechanic. Now, Sam, we've been on break for a little bit, so how are you feeling? So, to catch us up, how was your spring, or at least the end of your spring season? Are there any animes that you finally caught up to for the spring season? What's been going on with you?
Oh my goodness. So much has been happening. I have to think all the way back to spring. I would say, I was catching up with you and a mutual friend on Tokyo Revengers. I need to finish that up. And Spider. I've been loving Spider. And with things opening up here, I've been trying to enjoy my summer a little bit. Went to visit my family. I went wakeboarding. And I was also able to see Black Widow in theaters. So that was nice. I was able to get a free comic book that came with the ticket that I purchased. So gave me a reason to get back into the comic book scene a little bit. But as far as anime, I want to say I've been a little bit excited. Well, not really excited. When Seven Deadly Sins dropped on Netflix, my friends were like, watch the new season. The animation is so much better than season 4. And I had to slough through season 4 just to catch up. And it's kind of sort of worth it, kind of not. Not to drudge things down. So, but other than that, it was a good experience. How about you? What was your spring to summer anime/break experience?
Yeah, so we've been on break for 6 weeks. We finished up basically with 2 weeks closing, basically around episode 10 of the spring season. We finished up because we only run 10 weeks out of the 12-week season. So, that's a good chance for us to absorb enough anime for the season. Like you said, I was trying to catch up with Spider to watch it up with you and the mutual friend, but I was very surprised that the few last episodes of Spider were on hiatus. Not on hiatus, but there was something wrong with the productions. Did you know what's going on with that?
Really?
Because they were delayed by they usually have normal broadcasting time, but Spider was under something with their broadcasting schedule.
I need to look into that, because when I went to the site that I normally go to, they made it seem as though that they ended for this core. And when looking at the list for the new anime coming up, Spider wasn't really listed. So I thought that maybe they were done with the first season. As you said, maybe there's a little bit more happening with the production that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, and it's something that people can easily forget, is that just because a episode is scheduled to premiere on a date doesn't mean animators are done animating that episode. So if maybe the key animators were sick or something happened with the studio, just because anime is on a week by week basis doesn't mean that the episode is finished even the week prior or the week of. It might be finished literally up to the hour before broadcasting. That's kind of what happens with South Park. That's kind of always been the
yeah, like you said, because with South Park, they work a little bit like how mangakas do, right? Or at least most mangakas, because it seems like they write their episode the week of, similar to how we're doing it, trying to keep things current. And speaking about mangakas, right? Because you reminded me of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I found a new manga that I think you might be interested in. I started reading it because it looked like the art was very similar to My Hero Academia. Have you heard about the Hunters Guild Red Hood?
No, I'm not familiar.
So essentially is these it's these people that work with this guild. They hunt supernatural creatures, so similar to The Witcher, but the thing is, their main focus is hunting werewolves to extinction. And as I said, the art style is very similar to My Hero Academia, so that's why I got started. And right now, waiting for the next chapter to come out. So waiting to see how it goes. But I didn't mean to interrupt your summer and spring shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans is definitely the word for it, because I've been kind of tracking this like for the last couple of episodes of, when we're
Yes.
talking with the spring animes, that I fell into a Minecraft hole. And just to say that now that it's 6 weeks later, I'm doing the little finger things, the little
Yes.
woo finger things. But yeah, I'm probably up to 150 hours of Minecraft. So like, I found the Ender portal. I got all the Eyes of Ender to go to to beat the game.
Wait. So I thought that it was just a survival game. So there's an actual goal. I thought. Well, what is the actual goal of Minecraft? Because I thought it was just one of those survival games where it's just like live as long as you can.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, maybe this is like probably not like Minecraft has been big for like years now, but yeah. So
Yeah.
like the whole fun part of Minecraft is this sandbox mechanics that you build, you survive. There's zombies, spiders, skeletons, that you just build, get materials, build up, survive. But yeah, probably introduced probably at the end of their development cycle was actually a quote unquote how to beat Minecraft, where if you go to, do you know there's different dimensions?
I now do. I do know now.
All right, yeah. So there's a nether, which is the underworld, where it's basically just filled with lava and all these hellish kind of creatures. You go
Okay.
into there to get a specific ingredient, which you can basically mold into keys. And those
Yeah.
keys open up a portal to what's called the end. And in the end, there's a dragon that you have to slay. And then
Oh.
that's the end of Minecraft.
So you just have to slay the dragon.
Slay
Okay.
the dragon, yeah. Yeah, it's very simple, but like if you want to work towards a specific end, that's what Minecraft did. They were like, oh yeah, you can survive and blah, blah, blah. But if you actually want to beat the game, then you can slay the Ender Dragon. So I'm doing a very cautious hero kind of approach to it. I'm making multiple different armors of enchantments to fight off a dragon. So that's what I've been using most of my time. I haven't been watching anime, but I did catch up with Click, which I mentioned
Click.
during our anticipated spring anime season. That's the Chinese
Okay.
Chinese anime that showed up on Funimation. So I was watching a few episodes. Oddly satisfying. Even though like your mind is so geared to listen to Japanese, and listening to Mandarin Chinese was like a weird switch for me to make. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not Japanese. But other than that, let's see, Tokyo Revengers, I haven't finished the first core. So Tachimichi, had his time travel shenanigans, and like it
Mhm.
changed the present. So I don't know how the present has changed. So like episode 11
Oh.
and 12, I'm not caught up to.
I think I've seen 11, but I hadn't seen 12. I was there. I'm not gonna say nothing.
Okay, cool. But other than that, spring season pretty wrapped up nicely. There was a lot of anime that just fell off. Like I never got around to How to Summon the Demon Lord Omega, which is the season 2. Never finished House Way of the House Husband. The Fruits Basket final showed, and like everyone loved it. Where it's like, this is the story that we've been waiting years for. But yeah, spring was all right, and I'm looking forward to the summer. And that is an excellent segue into our anticipated summer anime for the season. So Swagway, and codes are going to be in the description below of the video. So we have 2 topics of today. We have our 10-year review to talk about Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan, and now we're going to go into our most anticipated anime for the summer. So as always, we are going to go back and forth. We have our Kobe, Yeet, and Bench metrics to say if there are similar spots higher up on our list or not on our list at all. And I'm very looking forward to what you have on your list, Sam. So how you hit us with your number 5?
So my number 5, the detective is already dead.
Oh, yeah, that was a hard cut. I already saw the first episode, so I
Oh
left
yeah.
it off my list because I am anticipating it now because I saw the first episode. But, I just left it off my list. But yeah, that's a good choice. So that's a bench for me, but I approve of this choice. So why did it make your list?
Mainly because it's a mystery, and it's just very interesting because the person that, or at least like the synopsis that it gave me, the person that is good at mysteries is reluctant to want to do mysteries, and it seems as though he's sort of just being blackmailed or being pulled into mysteries, and it would just be interesting to see that, because it sort of reminds me of W.o.W from Ed, Edd n Eddy, where I don't know if you remember, but there was that one episode when they were doing the Riverboats tour, where they were trying to do like a deluxe or luxury cruise for the people. And the guys are trying to figure out what to do for entertainment. And Double D is like, well, I guess I'll have to do this. And he goes and he gets this, I don't know what it's called, but the instrument is a little bit like that Japanese string board. It's like a guitar that you just sort of sit on its back and then you play, but you also have this piece that sort of shortens and lengthens the chords as you play. And it seems like Double D is just this prodigy at this instrument, and just the look on his face is like he's just so bored out of his mind playing it. And it was just a very funny gag that they never brought back to the show. So it'll be interesting to see a premise similar to that. But you've said that you've seen the first episode, so is that anything like it at all from what you've seen?
No, you hit it right. You hit it right on the head. Is that it kind of feels like the superior version to Gosick. So we had an episode about Gosick, and my whole problem with that show is that the male main lead of that show is just so milquetoast and just unimpressive as a co-lead into a story. But yeah, this is definitely in the camp of two prodigies kind of working together to figure out mysteries, and with a male and female lead. And the whole title of it, The Detective Is Already Dead, leads into that kind of mystery of what does that title mean? It's not given away in the first episode, so it does have that element of foreshadowing. And it's a very solid detective story, so not as much as, like mystery. So like mystery and detective stories aren't usually synonymous with each other. They are synonymous with each other, but how they played it up in this makes sure that it's a detective story first over a mystery show.
Okay.
And I very much appreciate it. So, better version of Go Sick, just to say that's a barometer to measure it by. So, my number 5, I just said I was leaving off anime that I've seen the first episodes of. So I'm immediately going to lie. Because my number 5 is a anime that I did see the first episode for, and it was so shocking to me that I had no interest in seeing this before, but I just have to talk about it. But my number 5 is Kanojo Mo Kanojo, or Girlfriend Girlfriend.
Okay, that's a bench for me, but go ahead and explain that. Kanojo Mo Kanojo.
It just translates to girlfriend, girlfriend, but it's very odd because that's the literal translation. But if you do a free translation, it kind of reads, this is my girlfriend and this is my girlfriend. So it is a Tatsuka Productions. Tatsuka we talked about before. They they're usually a supporting animation studio. So I know them because they do work with Mappa a lot. They worked on Duroro. And they're kind of most recently known for doing that quintuplet, the 5 quintuplet.
Oh, the quintessential quintuplets.
Yeah, that story. Okay. So good animation studio. So they're taking the lead on this project, and it's based off a manga series. It premiered last week, so there's 2 episodes of it available now. And the premise of it is 2 childhood friends finally confess their love for each other. And then, I'm only spoiling the first episode because it's in the synopsis. But yeah, so these 2 childhood friends confess to each other and they become a couple. So there's already a solid romance going. And then kind of halfway to the episode, the guy introduces to his now girlfriend another girl. By the end of the episode, they're in a conversation of, how is it all right that I date both of you?
Wow. Polygamy.
Well, it's not polygamy. It's not polygamy because, it's polyamorous.
Yeah,
and
polyamorous.
Yeah, because I fell down such a hole about how do Japanese people view polyamorous relationships. And I really don't like how my anime list kind of set up the premise of the show, because it said boyfriend convinces his girlfriend to 2-time on her. I'm like, that's not how the episode plays at all. And it's a really interesting way that the episode sets up this dynamic between these three because the guy and I guess the second girlfriend say, okay, well, we want to be in a fully informed, fully consensual relationship with each other. And the second part of the episode is just the guy and the second girlfriend showing off like they each have a aspect of each other that informs on each other's lives. So the girlfriend would be dating the other girlfriend, the guy would be dating the other girlfriend, and so on and so forth. So I went down this really weird investigation news story hole of how do polyamorous relationships work. And I'm like, this anime got me to value this perspective in a relationships I've never considered before. So just by that virtue, I had to put it on the list. There is the promo of the arc says there's going to be other girls as well. So now I'm kind of like cringe about it because it also has the harem.
So it's like they're trying to make a harem that works instead of...
Oh yeah, because I'm going to soapbox about this because like if you have a certain view on polyamorous relationships, this is a very odd way to mix in a very real world relationship dynamic to the wacky zany world of anime. So I'm kind of cringe to see where they go with this, but I'm so anticipating they're going to give like a nuance examination of how polyamorous people actually operate with each other. So that's my number 5. But Sam, what's your number 4?
So it's just funny. Just wanted to mention it again because like over here in the West, like at least like in terms of like polyamorous relationships for people more traditional like me, the only thing that I can think of is like for Mormons, right? Where it's like the sister wives TV show type thing. So it'll be interesting to see that in anime. To sort of broaden the horizons on that way. But number 4 for me would be Scarlet Nexus. And similar to you, I had ended up watching the first episode to this, and I'm still trying to see what I feel about it, because the synopsis was kind of interesting, but then as I saw it, and mainly my issues is based mainly with the power systems to see what they're going to deal with it. But essentially, the main character joins or was in school, military school, to become this officer, where he uses his supernatural abilities to fight these otherworldly creatures called
Others.
Here, I think it is called the Others, yeah. And it was just kind of interesting because I try to remember. It was either he has an older brother that's a higher ranking official, so he's in the spotlight, sort of things. It's like, oh, the younger brother's trying to show his stuff, and I think his father was also an upper echelon rank as well, so he's definitely a legacy. And you, in the first episode, you get a little bit of that, but you also get a stark contrast in capabilities that the higher ranking officials have as opposed to people like him. Whereas he has the ability of telekinesis. He can probably maybe move the swords that he has on his back, maybe the device the size of a college-sized refrigerator. But then you run into somebody else who has telepathy too, and it's basically like Mob Psycho versus some scrub, right? Just in terms of contrast and power. So it will be interesting to see. Like I said, I'm just a little bit wary just because of the power system. That I'm a stickler for that, but I'm interested to see where it goes. How about you? What's your number 4?
Yeah, so I left Scarlet Nexus off my list because I already watched the first episode, so it was one of those things that fell into that metric again. So
it seems like I'm just like putting all the episodes that you've seen off your list and putting it on mine.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I think I read that it was Sunrise. Because I think there's a mech component. I forgot which, but there is a Sunrise property that came out.
Oh wow, it is Sunrise. Damn, I didn't even know. I'm in Sunrise's pocket, and I didn't even know.
Yeah, they have it on their YouTube channel.
Okay.
Because I'm I'm on their Japan side of things, so I just watched it since they published it. But yeah, not sure where the mech. Well, if it's going to go too heavy into mech, but Yeah, it was interesting enough. I like his character design. I like his black and red hair, and I like
Black and red, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm interested enough. So maybe I'll give it a 3-episode test, but left it on my list because, again, I watched the first episode. So my number 4 is The Study Case of Vantes.
Oh, that is a yeet for me.
All right, cool. Yeah, we had that news story about it, so glad it's on your list too. So what's your number 3?
I'm writing your list as we're going through, so I can remember later on.
All right, cool.
Let's see. So my number 3 is Peach Boy Riverside.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'd substitute that with the one at my number 3, so we technically have in the same spot. Yeah. So, but tell me why.
Technically have the same.
Yeah. So tell me why yours is your number 3.
I would say I was a bit hesitant at Peach Boy Riverside, mainly because from the stills that I've seen from it, I wasn't sure how to take it, if it was going to be a romantic thing, mainly because of the name, and how how the Japanese culture treats peaches, right? Because it's usually like a symbol for love and romance, things of that nature. So I didn't know if it was going to be a Yuri type show or if it was going to be full on romance. And then I read some of the synopsis and I saw some of the stills or the trailers for it. And essentially, this princess, she wants to go on adventuring. I can't remember if she was a monster princess or like she was supposed to be something magical was supposed to be with her. But essentially, she wants to go adventuring and she ends up running into a wanderer who is adventuring as well. And he's trying to live out or find what's called the path of the peach, I guess, like in a sort of like a Bushido code type way for him. And then before they go on, he basically has like the devil's conversation with her. Is like, are you sure you want to go on this adventure with me? Because once we start, there's no going back, right? It's like you're crossing the Rubicon. And then you also get scenes of him just basically tearing through people like it was no tomorrow. His eyes colors change and his whole demeanor changes as well. And you see other characters that have this similar subtle transformation too whenever they go into battle as well. So it's that trailer was sort of what sucked me in and made me realize that my fears were unfounded. So I'm kind of interested to see what that adventure is going to be and to get a little bit more of the character interaction between the princess character and the boy who wants to walk the path of the peach. But Jay, you said that this anime had interested you as well.
Well, for everything that you said, it was the mystery elements. And again, I'm a big proponent of like not being handed everything into a story, to not be like spoiled to it. So everything from the PV or the promotional video of it was like interesting enough to make me put it on my list. But I did leave it off my list because there's an equal anime that's just as mysterious on my number 3 spot. So my number 3 is Sunny Boy.
Sunny Boy. Okay, I've only seen the titles for it, but I haven't seen any promos for it. So that's a bench for me. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, even with the promo, it's like it doesn't even show really anything, and that's what kind of got me interested in it because of the character design work. For one, like to say that this is a Madhouse production, and they haven't been really forward with any of the staff that's on it. But when I saw the character designs, it reminded me something of Perfect Blue. It's like very simplistic. There's like very minimum line work being done. It's like it's not janky in its animation, but you can see that they're using a very outdated technology or outdated technique to animate it to give it a very 90s feel to it. So I was like, oh, okay. So same thing kind of like with Megalobox, of how they made it look like, the whole Cowboy Bebop aesthetic or that rough cell animation. So there's only 12 episodes scheduled right now. It premieres on the 16th of July. And the whole premise of it is that summer school students get teleported to another world. So it's an isekai. And they all wake up with superpowers. And they need to survive this supernatural kind of world. That's all there is to it. I like the character design. There's a strong emphasis on the female character design specifically, because that's why I kind of connected to it with Perfect Blue. Even like something with Devilman Crybaby, how they draw their female characters, and it seems to be like a heavy female cast. So like the total number body of student is 36, but like in the PV they have for it, I think like they show 5 female characters out of the 36 that are like the main focus. So I'm very looking forward to it. So it kind of fills in the same slot as the Riverside.
Yeah, Peach Boy Riverside. I'm glad that you led with the art technique and how it's trying to appear vintage rather than the summary, because if you just gave me the summary, it would make me roll my eyes like, oh no, another isekai. How original.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always something that, just because you have like a good base layer story doesn't mean that there's anything new about it. So that actually has something to do with my number 1 pick. But Sam, what's your number 2 pick?
My number 2 pick is Vanitas no Carta. It's the case study of Vanitas. Yep.
So it's way high. Well, it's not way high up on your list, but it's higher on your list. So you did cover, I think you're the one that brought the news story about it before, and this is a Studio Bones production. So why is it so high on your list?
It was higher on my list prior to watching the first episode. I saw the first episode, and essentially the summary of this tale is it's basically a story about vampires, and this one. Hold on, let me at least read the actual story and not, or at least the actual summary, and not go off of what I've seen in the first episode.
Okay.
So, essentially, blah 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 blah. Yeah, talking about how a vampire being born under the blue full moon, it's known as a curse, or it's a bad omen, and those. Let me see. As most vampires are born under the blood moon. And there was a vampire that was born under the blue moon, and he was ostracized, and he made a book called the Book of Vanitas that basically curses all vampires, and whoever picks up the book is supposed to be the end for all vampires. Basically, to give one big middle finger to all the vampires that had ostracized him because he was born under a different colored moon. And in the first episode, I'm only saying like what I saw in the first episode. You basically follow this vampire who runs into the current holder of the grimoire. You realize the main that the grimoire holder, his main purpose with the grimoire is to save vampires, because there's something going around that's happening to the vampires. And then they also allude to the fact that the main vampire that you're following, that later on in the story, he's going to end up killing the person who has the said grimoire. So it sort of sets up this mystery. Is like, why is this thing going around only attacking vampires? Why does this main vampire, like, what's going to happen in the story to make him want to kill the current grimoire holder? Things like that. A little bit of that mystery box type thing. So it'll be interesting to see where the story goes. But why was Vanitas on your list?
Yeah, so whoever brought the news story up about this mentioned that the character design artist is the same that did Carol and Tuesday. So that's very much just enough for me to put it on my list, because I always enjoyed, like, Carol and Tuesday was locked behind the Netflix jail when it first premiered, but like the images of it and the character designs is so strong and so striking. I just wanted to keep it on my list. So that's why it's on my list, for that pure reason by itself. So my number 2 is Star Wars Visions.
I didn't think about considering that. I feel so mad now. My whole list is ruined.
That's why I'm here, Sam. But yeah, so just to run through real quick, this is a anthology series that basically has given a lot of studios, or 7 studios, free range of the Star Wars lore, mythos of creating, the expanded Star Wars universe doesn't really exist anymore, but there's so much that's been taken out because of the Disney purchasing of the Star Wars property. So like these studios were basically say, okay, here's the extended universe, here's everything that has happened in the universe, do what you will with it. So this is going to be a 9-episode anthology series, kind of akin to Love, Death, and Robots, where I'll go through all the projects, but yeah, it's a 9-episode series. It's premiering literally on the last week of the summer anime season on Disney Plus. So it is technically a summer.
So all episodes are going to be dropped at the same time, or are they going to be released in installments like the other like they did The Mandalorian or they did the Loki TV show?
It'll be dropped weekly. Yeah. So there is a production or a release order to them. So
that's awesome.
Just to run through real quick, it is Studio Trigger. They are doing The Elder and the Twins.
I'm so excited.
Kinema Citrus is doing The Village Bride. Studio Corrado Corrado. Wow, have I not lived in America long enough to not say Colorado?
Colorado? What?
Studio Colorado.
Oh my goodness.
Tatooine Rhapsody. Geno Studio is doing Lop and Ocho. Science Cerule is doing T0B1 and Akari Ki. Production IG is doing The Ninth Jedi. And Kami Kazi Golga is doing The Duel. So that's a 9-episode series done by 7 different anime studios. Studio Trigger has 2 of them. Science Rule has another 2. But yeah, it's a very interesting deal that the studios have kind of formed with Disney to say, okay, now that the Star Walker trilogy or saga has been finished, this is kind of really the first Star Wars property that's come up past the movies. Well, there was the Bad Bunch that released.
The Bad Batch,
Bad Batch. Mandalorian season 2.
Yeah. But you're talking about just like animation, right?
Animation, I mean, there's also something on Disney XD or Plus.
Disney Plus. There's Rebels, and I'm trying to think. There was something else right before the Bad Batch that was done animation rights. I think they brought back the Clone Wars.
The final season.
They did a final season of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, so just very interesting that Disney has been open to like, oh yeah, let's give our property to other creators and see what they do with it. And given that it's anime studios, it's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to do with it. So Sam, what's your number 1 most anticipated for summer season?
I'm just so dejected because I didn't have Star Wars on mine.
Because you showed it to me. I didn't even know it existed until you showed it to me.
It's just like, that should have been my number 1. But essentially, I'm just waiting for Slime 2. I got reincarnated as a slime. That's my number 1. The beginning of season 2, and I'm sorry. Just essentially like what's going on with Slime, the way that the season 1 has ended. Bit of a spoiler, but now Rimuru-sama, Rimuru, he's now reached Demon King level status, and how he went about it and why he did it. It was very true to his character, and now that he has reached that level, it's sort of like in One Piece, seeing Luffy get to the point to where he can start challenging the 4 emperors, to where he reached that status, and since reaching that status, he is now being thrown into that world, running. And like, for instance, that whole instance with Whole Cake Island and having to deal with both Big Mom and Kaido at the same time. Rimuru is sort of being thrown into that as well, because as soon as he got that status, he now realizes that there may or may not have been a spy from one of another Demon King came in that was in his country, and one of his Demon King friends has started a war with a Demon King that he just made relationships with. So I like seeing the wheels of the world turning. So it'll be very interesting moving forward with that. What's your number 1?
Yeah, so I mean, you're aware that this is actually the start of the second core of season 2, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
Okay,
that's
cool.
what I meant.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's on my side mentions list. My list was just more like new anime, so like I've been hyped about what happens with. Yeah, so I was about to I was about to say a spoiler for their first core, but I'm glad you made that distinction. So yeah, the
Yeah.
the start of the first core of Slime season 2 was spring, and now summer is the second core. Okay, cool. So a lot happened during. You're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to enjoy yourself for those first 12 episodes because I saw the first episode of this second core and it's pretty hype. But anyways, so
Okay.
my most anticipated for the summer season is how a realist hero saves the kingdom or how a realist hero builds the kingdom. This is another isekai, and again, apparently like with the mech genre and isekai, I'm falling in love with them again because this is a J-Staff production, and it's falling in the same camp of Shop Talk, which is just a genre I love. It's falling, or this story is where a dude gets isekai to a world, and he doesn't seem like he's going to get any superpowers. He's just a normal guy. First day, he gets married off to the princess. He's been established as the king and
First day?
as the
I
country's
want to get isekai like him.
as the king of this kingdom, and he's like, okay, you've been isekai, go slay the demon lord. And he's like, okay, what provisions does our kingdom have to wage war against the demon king? And that is such a shield hero, cautious hero kind of take on it. Is that, actually it also falls into the Spice and Wolf kind of dynamic as well, because in the synopsis it says like he's going to go about it doing administrative reform.
Okay.
And that is so bizarre that isekai has been, so inundated in the anime community that now we can do like all the postmodern kind of versions of it. So, yeah, Shield Hero did it, Cautious Hero did it, and now this is doing it as well. And I'm so invested in seeing how they're going to explore a fantasy world through administrative reform.
It reminds me a little bit of Knights and Magic.
Oh yeah, you shared that with me. Yeah, that's also another one. And also even with Tanya the Evil.
Yes.
Tanya the Evil kind of did that whole same thing. Like, so it's the base story is little girl wants to take God out, but also on top of that is all of the mechanics, the schemes, all the policies of what a world war would be with magic. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting that isekai is still going in this direction. It's like, I'm going to say, okay, you've been transported, but what else? What else is there? It's not a power fantasy anymore. Like, there's very interesting world dynamics you can explore when you've been isekai or you've been removed from your world into a fantasy world. So, Slime Season 2, Core 2 is on my honorable mentions. Mm-hmm. There's also the continuations of To Your Eternity, Iruma-kun, Demon School, Tokyo Revengers, My Hero Academia, and that's for the second course. I also want to mention that Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Season 2 premiered as well.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, like, I saw a fight clip that I think came from like the newest season, and it seems like Kobayashi, they came and they want to take it all. That's what it seems like.
I mean, it's Kyoto Animation, so they've always been butter smooth with their oddly out of place fight scenes in their anime. But yeah, Studio Mappa has a water polo anime this season called Remain. They're also doing the Deities Only Know Peace. So very odd that Studio Mappa.
I forgot about Deities Only Know Peace. No. That should have been on my list. Oh my goodness. I want to watch it. And do you have a date on that one or no?
No.
Okay. It's going to be coming out.
Though. Oh, so right, you're right. Because this is technically the second week of broadcasting. So if it's not already premiered, it's premiering very soon. And Mappa is very odd that they do these shows on the side, because like last season they did Zombieland Saga, but right before that they did Attack on Titan. So they have a pretty packed schedule, but you never expect those two type of anime productions to be going on at the same time. Oh, here's a water polo anime. Here's Attack on Titan final season. So those are my honorable mentions. Do you have anything else to mention before we move on?
I would say Nighthead 2041, mainly because still on that one, the character design and the aesthetics, that looks like something that I would be interested in. It has that futuristic Blade Runner, Mars Red type feel to it. So I would at least like try to give it a shot. But other than that, you've already mentioned the honorables that I want to see.
All right, sweet. So now we are done with our most anticipated anime for the summer season 2021. So going back 10 years, we're going to talk about the anime that premiered then, which is Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan. Sam, this was your pick, and I am shocked about how I felt about this. But tell us, why did you
Okay.
pick this for us to watch?
So essentially, this was an anime that I had run across on Netflix once before. I had tried to give it a shot. I wasn't able to get into it. I think I might have started in season 2, by accident. But since looking at the anime list, I saw that this was that it came out in 2011. I figured, why not try to give it a good shot, try to look at it more objectively. But before I go into the synopsis, did you know about this anime prior to now, or have you seen anything of it before now, Jay?
Not at all. And if maybe I just don't remember it, but because the version of Nora, the grown up Nora, I guess, is Demon Nora, is like his like look, because it's based off a manga series, is kind of again like one of those things of like something you never pay attention to. You're like, oh, I know where that's from, or I've seen that before and I don't know where it's from actually. So I was familiar with his look. Maybe it was probably in like I had like a manga club at my high school, so probably part of that collection that I've never gotten into, but I'm familiar with the look, but I've had no experience or idea what the synopsis was.
All right. So then let's go ahead and let's do that. So essentially, the synopsis of Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan is Rikuro Nura. He was born part yokai, part human, grew up as the master of the Nura clan, comprising of all kinds of yokai. He treated the clan like family. However, he learned that he was the only one among his classmates who saw them as family, whereas essentially in that society, everybody always views yokai as monsters and things of that nature. So he wants to maintain his life of normalcy so that he can grow up as a regular person. However, because of the life that he was sort of born into, there is different yokai policies and a power dynamic that hinges on him becoming the successor to his clan. And in order to essentially ensure that his human friends remain safe, he has to essentially acknowledge his ancestry, and because acknowledge his ancestry. And in order to do that, he has to sort of awaken his yokai blood so that he can become the legendary Nurarihyonnomago and essentially transform into his yokai self, so that the yokai in that community will acknowledge him as its proper leader. So the genre for this anime hold your tongue until it's your turn.
No, I know, it's just funny that it just sounded like you were reading what a computer wrote about trying to explain this genre.
I'm sorry. Like I have the synopsis from my anime list here, and I'm trying to make my own words and not plagiarize it completely.
No, that's what I mean. It's like you're reading it exactly how like a computer would say A plus B plus C equals D. It was like perfect.
I'm sorry. Oh, so that was a compliment. Okay. I mistook it then. But essentially, the genre is action, demons, shonen, supernatural. Its rating is PG-13, teen and older. And as I said, I did watch it on Hulu, but it's now available. No, I'm sorry. I watched it on Netflix before, but it's now only available on Hulu from what I've seen. And yeah. So you said that. Oh, one thing that I want to say right before I go on. This work was a manga series, and this manga series was written by Hiroshi Shibashi, who was the assistant to Hiroku Araki on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7, known as Steel Ball Run. He also has other works known as Illegal Rare and Yuri Kamio, and another one called Let's Loose. So all that is to say that Nura Rise of the Yokai Clan is a JoJo reference. Aside from that, Jay, you mentioned that you had that you were surprised with how this show made you feel. Would you like to divulge on that a little bit?
Yeah, just and kind of just going to what I was just saying about how you're reading it. It was like, this is so. I enjoyed this immensely, and I can't recommend it at all because
that sounds like an oxymoron.
no, yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. It's like I can literally name like 17 other anime that have that exact same A plus B plus C equals D. It's like, oh my gosh, this young boy has been burned with a power. Oh my gosh, this boy has friends that he wants to protect. Oh my gosh, he has to awaken his powers that he doesn't want to use, but he has to keep his friends safe. And it's like, I've seen this all before. And it's Studio Deen, and Studio Deen does like some, not subpar. What am I thinking about? I'm thinking about like basically leveled work. Everything is like crisp. It's not outstanding or distinct enough to say like, oh, this is bad or good. It's just clean.
It rides the standard. It doesn't go above and beyond, but it doesn't go underneath the standard. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I brought that up when we had a episode on Hakuki, the Demons Blossoming. I think that was the subtitle, but it was that Otome game about the girl being with like the police force in Kyoto. And they're also responsible for Roni Kenshin. So they do know how to handle like swordplay and that kind of Edo period kind of aesthetic. So that comes into play with this because, like you said, like he's a reincarnation. Well, he's the head of a demon-leading clan that basically has their divine commander. I forgot his title, but basically he's the king of demons. And he gets resurrected in this boy who's like 12 or 13, but he only can come out at night, essentially. And like, that is so just... I wish I had seen this back in the day because this is way better than Inuyasha.
Yes.
This is better than... The other one that I was most familiar with at the time was an anime called Kikeshi. Yeah, it was a anime that I think it was back in 2006, but it showed on Toonami. It's basically like these Shinto monks. They're like fully dressed in like your purple gear. Kakaishi. They have the whole Kakaishi. Yeah, thank you. And he can create a barrier.
Oh no! We're gonna have some words now because I've only seen a little bit of Kakaishi, and I disagree with you there.
That is good.
That
is good.
Yeah. That Kakaishi's good. I think that's good. Yeah, but go on. Continue.
No, that's what I'm saying. It is good.
Oh, it is good. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm saying like I wish that I knew about this when it showed up in 2011 because I love Kakaishi back in 2006.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just on the wrong wavelength with you today. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's like those feel like so much of the same kind where everyone's familiar with Inuyasha and even like not Demon, but Samurai Deeper Kyo kind of falls into the same idea of transformation, superpowers, demon hunting. And I was surprised that this genre is so prolific that there's 7 other copies of this. I mean, even Reborn Hitman Reborn kind of does that. No, I mean, I just mean like the idea of normal boy transforms into better version of himself.
Yeah.
Even like Yu-Gi-Oh is that. So like you can put that on top of everything.
Pretty much.
You can stack that kind of premise on top of each other.
Because the reason why I resonated with Katekia with Hitman Reborn, right, is because he also is an heir to the mafia, and at the beginning, like he doesn't want to be the heir, very much like Rikuo. And then like you learn, like as the story progresses, it turns out that like even though like he didn't want it at first, he definitely wants it now, and he wants to change the face or change how the organization operates. So like you said, this genre is strong, and it's kind of weird that we hadn't seen anything like this recently.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything that comes to mind recently, but the whole dynamic of having a dual personality sharing the same body is kind of like prolific enough that you can say like, oh, okay, this just reminds me of that, and this reminds me of this. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot because you do get a very strong sense of how kind he is, like from the very start. Like he sees yokai demons as equals as humans,
Yeah.
but then he gets into his class, or he gets like he kind of tests the water with his classmates to say like, hey, what do you think about demons? And they still have that old historic or antiquated idea that demons are just there to devour humans.
Mm-hmm.
And then he understands like, oh yes, I've been burdened with this responsibility and I need to be that bridge between these two people. And it's like rolling my eyes because like, yes, I see that everywhere before. And I guess that's my whole critique about this, or maybe not even a criticism. It's just that I've seen this so much in so many other places that it really.
It doesn't add anything new. Like you said, it sort of just stays with the standard. It's not bad, it's not good. It's sort of just following the formula.
Yeah, it's kind of nothing. Because, like, this is, like, we've watched so many anime to talk about on the podcast before, and this was, like, the one that's just so enjoyable, but I'm not going to remember it tomorrow kind of camp. It's like, maybe I won't even go check out the manga. I kind of like the character design. It really reminds me of, I think it's Nejima. It's a dude that like has a Harry Potter kind of stick, and he's like round glasses, and he has spiky hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that kind of early 2000s aesthetic because it's based off a manga series, so it does have that early 2000s kind of feel to it, and it kind of translates into the show pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
But even the opening scene in the first episode, you see they do the exposition dump of like, oh yeah, you're only the demon at nighttime, and the boy doesn't know anything about you. You're just going to forget things. It's like, okay, yeah, I've seen this anime before, but I've seen this.
Yes.
I know exactly how it's going to progress. It has 2 seasons as a side story. I think the second season is called Demon Capital. Is that the one you think you watched?
That might have been it, because I know, like, when I had first started watching it, it had him transform into his yokai form during the day, but it was during when he was riding the bus. I think they were on a field trip. They were inside of a bus and they were in a tunnel, and there was a yokai trying to do something to the bus, and he's like, "Oh, you done goofed now, bruv. You didn't know I was on this bus," and basically just shows up with him and his demon gang. But it's a little bit. I have like similar reasons, like what you said. Like I've seen this so many other animes do it so much better before. Doesn't really add much more to it, and it seemed like it was a bit inconsistent as well. Mainly because, and I guess a little bit has to do with like a cultural translation as well, because in the first episode, like you get a sense that the kids don't really believe that yokais even exist and stuff like that. So it seems like, okay, I'm just gonna like live normally and things like that. And he's just so like obstinate from becoming the yokai leader, and it's so weird because the way that he treats the yokai, he treats them as equals. The way that they treat him, like they just seem very good personalities in a sense, like they're not malicious or anything else like that. And then in episode 2, the grandfather figure who wants him to inherit it, he's like, yeah, you have to be the yokai leader and you have to be evil. And it's just like, wait, where's this coming from? It was sort of like just thrown in there. It's like you didn't like reference any of this at all. I mean, we saw his demon self kill a man, but like there's no there was no context for it, so we don't know if it was. I mean, it was essentially just a mystery box trying to get us to keep going. We don't know if it was because of ill, if it was because it was just, it was just like a mystery box. It didn't really have any implications that he was like an evil person. And then it was like that one line of like, you have to be evil, but then it's sort of like just written off as though he's like, oh yeah, well, I don't want to like go and find places where I can dine and dash and not get caught. And it's like, okay, that's not evil. That's just being a dick, right? And it's just like, I don't know. It's not really being consistent with what his lead, what his responsibilities as a clan leader really are. And one thing that sort of, I guess this is just me being nitpicky, right? Because the title is Rise of the Yokai Clan, right? So you would think that he would try to bring his clan into a higher standing within the community, but he's already starting out with his clan being the big bad of the community. So it's like, what are you rising from? You're already at the top. So like you're at the peak. Where is there to go? That's just me being really technical though. And
No, I think
yeah.
that's definitely in the case of maybe poorly written for the 3 episode test.
Mhm.
Again, that's all we're really doing right now because it's 26 episodes for the 24 or 26,
It's a
24
lot.
for the first season. It's a lot, yeah. So it does feel, if they've already predetermined that it's going to be 26 episodes from the start, that 3 episode test does have some kind of flaw to it because they kind of spaced that out to actually 6 episodes. So I'm not actually, I vibe with what you're saying because it's
Yeah.
very wishy-washy on like the motivations of characters. What are you supposed to get out of the kid other than like, I want to protect my friends, or I don't want to accept this responsibility because I'm just a 12-year-old boy living with demons. Even with the opening to the show, which I was kind of, it kind of does what like most shonen's actions do, is like, oh, a bunch of action shots, cool dude doing cool thing, bad guys doing bad things.
Yeah.
And then that has the cold opening with like explaining the exposition of the setup to the story. And then going into just not even introducing an antagonistic force, but just showing inside his own family that there's like a dichotomy of ideas of what the leader should be. And not that he is even really a leader. I mean, for one, he's a kid, but also like they only see him as a vessel for the commander. They don't actually see him as a person. So, this genre is always talking about something of segregation or racism or prejudice in some kind of fashion. And is he going to go the good side and be a good leader? And then what is the boy and the commander actually going to talk about when they come together?
Mm-hmm.
That's always like the dynamic of the show, is like coming to terms with responsibility. And again, that's a good shonen trope. And again, maybe it's just a situation of we're maybe too old to enjoy it anymore. But
I think a little bit of that is too because you had mentioned like you wish that you had seen this like a little bit older, and like as I'm watching this, I'm realizing is like this isn't, like again, like this isn't for my age group, right? This is, I probably would have enjoyed this more had I started watching this the same time I started watching Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I mean, if we try to go back and watch the very first season of Yu-Gi-Oh, the way that it is now and the way that we are now, we'll be like, what the hell was wrong with me? Why did I accept this? Stuff like that. So that could be a little bit part of it too, like you were saying.
right, and it's kind of been like supplanted, this whole staple of the genre back in the day, because you can even go back to Yu Yu Hakusho, where Yusuke in the later seasons basically became, well, he was okay. Actually, I don't even know what was going on with that final season of Yu Yu Hakusho, but there was also a character, Kurama, who had a different version of himself, and he like became a lot more sadistic to his other side. So even with Jujutsu Kaisen, where Yuji has harboring Sukuna, so
Yeah.
that's kind of what's supplanted the whole idea of the dual personality. It's just that the demon side or the other version of the main character, they exist, they coexist versus one just taking over the other
Yeah.
at different parts of the day. So I'm definitely in the camp of like, okay, this is a good shonen. I've seen other versions of this. I can recommend better versions of this. But again, animation wise, storytelling wise, his friends is like a wacky group of friends. We had to talk about Blue Exorcist, and I gave a resurrection notice on Blue Exorcist, I
Yes.
think. I hope I'm not walking back on that because of that core brother dynamic of these two brothers have to deal with the trauma of losing their father and one of them being responsible for that loss. And with this, I don't really see a reason to resurrect it or even to rewrite it. Again, that third category we're still trying to piece out. But yeah, I'm giving it a rebury. But how about you, Sam?
I want to give one positive before I give my final say. One positive of this episode is not this episode, but of this series is in episode 3, the characters Yuru, which is a yokai hunter, and Kana, which is the female love interest for Rikuo. They passed the Bechdel test. So that's one positive thing to think about. But other than that, no, I'd rather rebury it. Mainly because, as you said before, it's the same formulaic. It doesn't seem to bring anything new to the table. Maybe if I was younger, I would be able to stomach it, but I don't think that I would have any good memories of it. I mean, the only characters that would really stand out to me from this show is probably the Ice Oni and the other yokai. The one, I think he's a monk or something. He has a necklace of skulls. Mainly just because they're really fun and they're always injecting themselves into the story just because they want to be Rikuo's bodyguards. I guess because the way that they use their agency, it stands out from everything else. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely sorry, I did forget to mention that. I was bagging on a lot of it, but yeah, like the creature design of this is really strong. Like even per episode, like they go into the mythology of different creatures that you see, but they do give like distinct focus on them. It's like, oh, this is a kappa, or this is a tengu, or like all these folklore creatures, and I think they did pay attention to that.
There was one character that looked like Rayman. How his head was like floating from his body,
detached. Yeah.
I wanted more of him, but
like they literally just throw everything at the wall. Yeah. So maybe like if we were going to give enough patience to like total 52 episodes, that's kind of why I said Kekashi is the better version of this, because of the main character is just like, he's older, he's a high school student, or on the higher end, so that romance that you just mentioned in as a female lead is like affection based, because this is a shonen, that it's not really going to be love. It's just going to be like, oh, kids like proximity, figuring out that they have proximity, affection. But yeah, so it has that. You have like a strong emphasis on a very well written antagonist in Kakashi, and not seeing that right now. Like you said, like in the 3 episode test, they do introduce demon hunters. They show them in the opening of the show as well. So like there's enough to say like, oh yes, it's enough of an interest generator in the 3 episodes, but it's like, I'm going to recommend other series over this. So it's a rebury on both of us. All right, cool. So thank you, Sam, for picking this. Again, I enjoyed it, but I can't recommend it. Like I said, like it's what it is. It's just like, it's well done. It's enjoyable. There's stuff positives about it, but it's not. I'm not going to remember it tomorrow. Maybe that's just because I'm going to drink tonight. But anyways, so that is our 10-year discussion on Nura, Rise of the Yokai Clan. It's available on Hulu, like you mentioned, but you said it was on Netflix as well.
It was way back when. I couldn't find it now, but Hulu is where I watched it. What about you?
Yeah, same. Yeah, Hulu. Yeah, and I forgot to mention that all the animes that I recommended for the summer season are on Funimation, because I forgot that Crunchyroll and Funimation combined earlier this year, so Funimation is just the king of anime right now. But anyways, so we have our wrap discussion of summer season anime. So we'll come back to maybe do the 3 episode test, or maybe do a halfway point of what we're actually watching.
Yeah, good follow up.
Because you can always fall off and pick up. Because I might give Peachside, oh my god, Riverside Peach Boy
Riverside.
Peach Boy Riverside a look. And what was the other anime that was on your list that I didn't have? Oh, Scarlet Nexus,
Scarlet
Scarlet Nexus.
Nexus, yeah.
Yeah, just because I've already watched the first episode as well as um, I'm forgetting your fifth place one, but yes, anime that I've already watched. So, all right, sweet. So, next week we have a news of the week, and we have a anime talk about Yori, which is in the same kin of school life or slice of life school life for cute girls doing cute things. But we picked this over a couple of anime like A Channel, Nichijou, kind of follow up to talk about the more non fantastical side of anime that can be done well, specifically in like showing what student life is. So, Sam, to wrap up this episode, do you have anything to say for us before we
I
go?
think I have a song that Rikuo would sing to his grandfather. Yo, don't wanna be a yokai just like you. What I'm saying is, this is another Resistance Air song. Whoa, another Resistant Air song. Whoa, another Resistant Air song. Whoa, another Resistant Air song. Da da da.